you can use that as revision on top of your weekly classes with us. Okay, class? All right, are we ready to start? Okay, we have 39 students right now. Okay, very good. Okay, so in today's lesson, we are going to cover these topics. Okay, number one, environment, photosynthesis, man impact on the environment, energy conversion, as well as forces and experiment type question. Okay, are we ready? Okay, let's take a look at it. We'll start with something very simple. Okay, and all these are actual past PSLE question. Okay, so later on, when you see the question, I want you to answer them by typing your answers in the chat function, which you can see, I think, on your right-hand side at the bottom. Okay, you can type in your answer there, and then we can discuss as well. So I want everybody to participate as much as possible. Okay, so and then if you have any concern or any question that you are not sure of, you can write it down on a piece of paper. Hopefully, we have the last 10 or 15 minutes so that you can ask me any question and I'll try to clarify, okay, as much as possible. All right, but keep the question within the PSLE syllabus. Okay, I do not want you to ask me something beyond the basic syllabus. Like you ask me, what is the the last planet or something like that, I will not be able to answer. You can Google them yourself, but we are going to focus only on P6 questions, P6 syllabus, because your PSLE is coming, so I'm going to help you as much as possible. In addition to the weekly classes, okay, we have this webinar session. All right. Okay, then Daniel asked about density. Density is not in the syllabus. Okay, if you look at the PSLE science syllabus, density is not in the syllabus. Okay. Okay, if something which is not in your syllabus, but say you have learned it by yourself, maybe through your teachers or through reading, if the concept is relevant to the question, they will not mark you wrong. Okay, however, if the concept is wrong, then you will not get any marks. All right, so anything beyond the syllabus, it is not expected of you, because it will not be fair to everybody. They will test you. Remember, PSLE will only test things which are within your syllabus, right? So anything which is beyond your syllabus, it is not required. But if you think that that concept that you have learned is relevant and if it is acceptable, then they will give you the marks. But if it's wrong, then you are in trouble. Okay, so don't worry too much. If not, if they test you something beyond the syllabus, it is unfair to everybody, right? Because then it will, there's non-stop, or there's no limit to the things that you have to learn. So that's why it is within the syllabus itself. All right. Okay. Fardin asks, what is transpiration? Okay, I think your spelling is wrong. It should be transpiration. P-I. Transpiration is the loss of water through the leaves, right? Specifically through the stomata, right? The plants loses water through the stomata, and this process is called transpiration. Transpiration, actually, also the word itself is not in the syllabus, but you need to know that plant in the leaves there is a stomata, and the function of stomata is two functions of stomata. One is the exchange of gases, number two is loss of water, right? The actual term transpiration itself is not required, but you need to know that stomata, other than exchange of gases, it is also the plant loses water through the stomata, not take in water through the roots, but it loses water through the stomata. Okay. Because my teacher taught me, but that is secondary school topic. Correct, right? The word transpiration itself is not in the science syllabus. Okay, let's start. Let's start the topic. Later, please leave your question in the Q&A. All right, the last few, like just now, we had overshot. We had to overshoot the time. I still had a few questions, so hopefully we can end on time so that all of you can have a good rest. I know some of you are still having your exams, right? Anybody still having your exams tomorrow? Sarah? Oh, what exam? What prelims are you having tomorrow? Science. Oh, okay, very good. Okay, so I shall not waste time. Okay, let's start with the first question. This is on the topic of environment. Okay, the question here, the diagram below shows a pond habitat. Okay, how many population of producers and consumers are present in this habitat? Okay, so I give you 30 seconds. Write down your answer in the chat function. All right. Can you separate producers and consumers? How many consumers and how many producers? Three producers and how many consumers? Four producers. Okay, look carefully. Yeah, please look carefully. Some of you say three, some of you say four. Okay, I think some of you are still confused with the concept of producer and consumer, and also the concept of population. Okay, let's recap. This is under the topic of environment, a P6 topic. Okay, you learn under webs of life and an environment. You learn about the term community, population. Okay, now let's recap. Producers are organisms that can make its own food. Okay, so basically they are plants. Right? So how many plants are there? How many types, how many population of plants are there? You can see this is 1, 2, and 3. Right? This is the floating water plant. Right? And 2 and 3. So there are 3 producers here. There are 3 producers. Right? Not 4, Danish. There are 3 producers. Now what about consumers? Now consumers are basically the non-plants. Right? Living things which are not plants. Okay, some of you say 4, some of you say 3. All right, the answer is 4. The answer is there are 4 consumers. Why? Why are there 4 consumers? Okay, you can see this is one type of fish. Right, this one type of fish. Okay, one type of fish. This another one. Now you see this tadpole and frog, right? They belong to the same population. Okay, they belong to the same population. Alright, likewise, the butterfly and the caterpillars, they belong to the same population. Right, because one is the young and one is the adult. This is a young tadpole and an adult frog. Okay, so there's a total of 3 producers and 4 consumers. Alright, so what concept here that you must know? Yes, egg also count in the population. Alright, the concept here is that number 1, you need to know what are producers. Producers make their own food. Basically, they are the plants. So there are 3 here. 1, 2, and 3 here. And what's the meaning of population? Population is a group of plant or animals, plant or animals of the same kind. Okay, of the same kind. Right, meaning that if they're tadpole and frog, they belong to the same population, living and reproducing at the given time, place, and time. The community, okay, community is not here, but community consists of several population living together in a particular place. Now, can you tell us what community is this? What community is this? Pond community, very good. How do you know? From the question itself. You can see here, this is a pond habitat. So there's one pond community, and in the community, it consists of several population, 3 population of producers and 4 population of consumers. Okay? All right, everybody got it? Okay, so this is a recap, okay, about the concept of producers, consumers, and population. I hope you got that. Okay, let's move on to the next topic. All right? Okay, next topic is on the topic of photosynthesis. Now let's recall, let's start by recalling the concept of photosynthesis. Now, can any of you type in the chat function, what is photosynthesis? Okay, if the question asks you, describe photosynthesis, how should you answer? Okay, Imran say make food. Okay, anybody else? If the question says describe photosynthesis, takes in sunlight to make food. Indrajit say takes in sunlight to make food. Nuha say the process in which plants make food. The process where chloroplasts trap light to make food. Danish say that light taken by the plant and turn it to food itself. Shami says the water together with carbon dioxide under sunlight produce food and oxygen. Okay. Okay, you see, now the very first few of you, you say that photosynthesis is the process of plant making food. Now this is incomplete in terms of PSLE or your exam. If they ask you describe the process of photosynthesis, if you just say photosynthesis is the process of making food or plant making food, you get 0 marks. Okay, so if they tell you to describe photosynthesis or explain the process, you must be able to describe what is required for photosynthesis and what is given out during photosynthesis. So I think I saw the answer by Shami. You are among the first one to give a very good answer. Okay, so you must be able to describe. Now photosynthesis, you need, what is required for photosynthesis? Number one, you need light, and then secondly, you need carbon dioxide, and thirdly, you need water, right? So in the presence of light, carbon dioxide, okay, and water, the plants make food, right, or photosynthesize, and what is produced? Food and oxygen, right? So in this question, coming back to this question, which direction, okay, can you tell us which direction did the water move and what was the reason for this movement? Okay, can you type your answer? Which direction did the water move and what was the reason for the movement? Naurin say outwards. Up, evaporation. Which direction? Direction is only left or right. Outwards is very subjective. What do you mean by outwards? Left, okay, very good. To the left. Some of you say right. Naurin and Danish, you say right. Tristan left. Okay, the answer is left. The answer is left. Now, importantly, what is the reason? Can you write down the reason for saying the answer is the left? Okay, so you need to give a reason. Can you type the reason? Okay, Alicia said because the left cause roots take in water and water take up space. Indrajit don't know. Okay, let's analyze this question. You can see there's light, right? And there's a plant here, okay? And there's roots, right? You can see roots here. And there's water, right? And you know that plants, during the process of photosynthesis, plant takes in water. They need water to make food, right? Now, how do plants take in water? Through the roots, right? So the roots absorb water. So when the root absorb water, okay, the water will travel up through the water carrying tube and to the leaves, right? So the leaves is where food is made. So when the water is absorbed, so there will be lesser water level in the flask, right? So the water level drops. So when the water level drops, so what happens to the water in the glass tube? It will go into the flask to occupy the empty space, right? It will go into the flask to occupy the space which was previously the water in the flask. Okay, since there's water being absorbed and transported to the leaves during photosynthesis, so there is space here. So the water in the glass tube will move to the left to occupy the space. Okay, class, understand? All right, so let's take a look here. Water moves to the left. So what's the concept? In the presence of light and carbon dioxide, plants take in water through the roots during photosynthesis, okay, causing the water in the flask to decrease, and then the water in the glass tube to move to the left to occupy its space. All of you got it, class? Indrajit, maths and science, yes, maths and science interrelated. Okay, very good, well done. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, another past PSLE question, now also on the topic of photosynthesis. Now this time around is MCQ, okay, easy for you. But what I want you to do is that tell us the answer, 1, 2, 3, 4, and give the reason. Okay, and give the reason. Biology also have math. Yes, of course. You need to calculate, right? For example, in biology, you learn about microorganisms, you learn about viruses, so you need to calculate, for example, how fast they multiply, right? Math is very, very important. Okay, many of you write number, some will say number 2, some will say number 3. Can you write down the reasons? Okay, please write down the reasons. Indirect flow. Okay, try your best. Okay, number 3 is correct. The answer is correct, number 3. Okay, but I want the reason. Actually, the reason is given. Can you elaborate more? Okay, because the plant, Naurin say, because the plant gives off oxygen bubble during photosynthesis. Very good. Okay, very good. Okay, let's take a look here. So the answer is number 3, right? Number 3. Why? Because remember, I think I've told students in my class, if you see lights, you see plant, most of the time it will be about the topic of photosynthesis, right? So once you know it's about photosynthesis, then you know what to expect, right? What is taken in and what is given out. Okay, so here in the presence of light and carbon dioxide, right, the water plant undergo photosynthesis and gives off oxygen gas. So oxygen gas is given off here, right? And what happened here? These air spaces, okay, this air space will increase, right? Increase, and it will push the water level down, okay, so that the air occupy the space, right, in the syringe, and the water in the syringe is pushed down. All right, so you can see the oxygen gas collects in the air spaces, okay, and as the volume increases, it will push the water down, causing the water level Q to be downwards. Okay. All right, very good. I can see some of your answers. Very good. Vandit, Hannah, good answer. Okay, well done. Danish, are you okay? Does it got to do with matter occupy space? Yes, of course. Right, because air is a matter and matter occupies space. Right, so the oxygen gas which was produced occupy more space. Right, when it occupies more space, it will push the water level down. Okay, because it needs space. So it will travel up here. It will push the water level down. All right, let's take a look at the next question. Okay, so next question is about experiment question. Okay, again, this is on the topic of photosynthesis, but this they ask you in the form of experiment. Remember, very rare in the exam, they ask you straightforward question, right? Asking you what is photosynthesis. Unlikely you see such question, but they will give you in the form of experiment, and you are expected to analyze the graph, the data given, the change variable, fixed variable, and then they'll ask you a question related to photosynthesis, and you must be able to apply the concept that you have learned to the question. Okay, so I want you to take a look at this question. And can you tell me what is this variable x and explain? Okay, I want you to tell us, write down your answer here, what is variable x, and explain why you say what is x. Okay, explain your answer for variable x. Okay, I give you about 1 minute to answer. And remember, I want you to give your explanation as well. Okay, let's take a look at some of your answers. Okay, distance between the torch and the beaker, distance between the torch and the setup. Okay, that's correct. Right, X basically is the distance between the torchlight and the water plant, right? The distance between the torchlight and the water plant. So you can see here, 0 to 60, right? This one is 0 to 60. Right, so this is exactly the water plant and this is the torchlight. Remember, when you see light and when you see plant, confirm chalk that usually is about photosynthesis. Okay, and what bubble do you think this is? What do you think bubble? This bubble? Air bubble, right? Now what air bubble? What air is it? It is, we know that in photosynthesis, oxygen is given off, right? So this is again oxygen air, oxygen gas. Okay, let's see some of your answers. Okay, you see, say the distance between the torchlight and the plant, because as the distance between the torchlight and the beaker decreases, the plant will receive less light, so number of oxygen bubble. Okay, you see, I think your answer is opposite, the other way around. You see that the distance between the torchlight, because as the distance between the torchlight and the beaker decrease, the plant will receive less light. You sure or not? Decrease should be more light, right? Okay, let's take a look. Mariam will answer. The distance between the torchlight and the beaker, as the distance increases, number of bubbles produced per minute decreases. Okay, Shami, you don't understand. Okay, Danish, there's a thermometer and torchlight. Okay, what do you think is the thermometer for? Okay, Aiden said the amount of light. Alicia said the distance between the torch and the beaker, when the torch is closer, there is more light, causing it to photosynthesize more, so giving out more. So you need to link. Okay, now let me share with you, this is a typical graph question. Okay, when you see any graph, right, you must take a look at the axis. There are two axes in the graph. One is the vertical axis, right? This is the vertical axis. The other one is the horizontal axis. And you must identify what is the vertical axis and what is the horizontal axis. So vertical axis here is the number of bubbles per minute, and the horizontal axis is the variable x. Okay, so after you identify the axis, then you need to identify or analyze the graph. How is the shape of the graph? In this instance, the graph is downward sloping. It is going down. Okay, meaning that, okay, we see variable x, right? As x increases, you can see, when x is this point, right, number of bubbles per minute is this. When you increase x, number of bubbles per minute actually decrease. When you increase further, it decreases further, right? Okay, so the answer is correct. The answer is x is the distance between the water plant and the torchlight or the light source. You can see as you move the torchlight, let's say you move the torchlight further away, right? The light, amount of light received by the water plant is lesser, right? So when they receive less, okay, when the variable x increases, when they receive less light, there will be lesser photosynthesis, right? When the plant make less food, less bubbles will be produced, right? So that's why you can see here, as x increases, the number of bubbles produced per minute also, as x increases, the number of bubbles produced per minute decreases. Okay, why it decreases? Because when the torchlight is away from the water plant, further away from the water plant, the amount of light received by the water plant will be lesser, hence lesser rate of photosynthesis, hence lesser bubbles will be produced. Okay, guys? Okay, let me recap. Let me recap. Some of you are a bit confused, no problem. Okay, let me recap in the form of table. Remember, I told you that when you see any experiment question, the first thing you should identify is the aim of the experiment, right? So here in this particular question, the aim of the experiment is not clearly given. So sometimes in the question, they want to make it a little bit tough for you. They do not clearly state the aim of the experiment. Okay? Now, if you do not know what's the aim of the experiment, Then you move on to identify what is the change variable. Okay, so here, the change variable here is variable x, right? The change variable is variable x, okay, which is the distance between the torchlight and the plant. So you can see here, as x increases, the number of bubbles decreases, right? So you think, what will cause the number of bubbles to increase or decrease? Okay, so as we know that, all of you know that photosynthesis, in the process of photosynthesis, oxygen gas bubble is produced. So when oxygen is produced, the higher the rate of photosynthesis, more bubbles will be produced, right? So how to increase the rate of photosynthesis is by increasing the intensity of light or the amount of light received by the water plant, right? So how? By moving the torchlight nearer, right? So when you move the torchlight nearer, meaning distance x nearer, so you can see here from this graph, the number of bubbles per minute actually increase. Okay, right? So you identify the x-axis, the distance between the torchlight and the plant. Okay, and the number of bubbles. Okay, what's the relationship? As the distance between the torchlight and the plant increases, the number of bubbles produced per minute decrease. Okay, and then next one, concept. Okay, again, we have identified the concept, right? The concept here is on photosynthesis, and we know light is needed for photosynthesis, and the greater the amount of light, the faster the rate of photosynthesis. So from the graph, we can see as the distance between the torch increases, the number of bubbles produced decrease. So in conclusion, as the plant receives less light, the rate of photosynthesis decrease. Okay, so these are the things that you have to go through your mind, okay, to come out with the process of coming out with the answer. All right, so let me recap. First, identify the aim of the experiment, then identify the variables, right? Here, the x variable, the x-axis, okay, which is the amount of light received or the distance between the lamp, the torchlight, and the water plant. And the vertical axis here is the number of bubbles, which is the result of the experiment. Okay, and you need to be able to identify the relationship between the x-axis and the y-axis here. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at some of your question. Okay, Vandi asks, will they give hints like ruler? Depends on the question. Sometimes they give, right? Sometimes they don't give. Okay, it depends. And how right, you must be prepared. Of course, they will give you some clue, some hint, so that you are able to derive the answer. Sufficient clue so that you're able to derive the answer. Okay, Naurin asked a very good question. What's the purpose of the thermometer? Okay, very good question. Actually, here in this particular question, the thermometer here is not relevant. However, we know that in the change, in any experiment, right, other than the change variable, everything else must remain the same, right? When they put a thermometer, basically they want to ensure that the temperature of the water remain constant throughout the experiment, right? Otherwise, it will not be a fair test. Okay, so quite interesting. They put a thermometer, but they did not ask you anything about the temperature. But we know that the temperature of the experiment of the water has to be constant throughout to ensure a fair test. Okay. All right, let's move on to the next question. All right, okay, so next question here is about the topic of man impact on the environment. So this is another graph question, but instead of line graph, okay, this is what we call a bar graph. Okay, there's a bar graph here. So let me read for you the question, and then you can write your answer below. Okay, yes, correct, Tristan. You have seen this before because this is a past PSLE question. Okay, Susan studied the percentage of male and female hatch from the eggs of a certain type of lizard at different temperature. Okay, so you can see this is the change variable, and this is the result of the experiment, the percentage hatch. The results are shown below in the form of a bar graph, and this is the legend, right? Black color here, the black bar is the male, and the white bar is the female. So the question is, what's the relationship between the percentage of the female hatch and the temperature? And part B, based on Susan's result, give reason why this type of lizard may disappear from the earth due to global warming. Okay, so I'll give you 2 minutes. Can you write down your answer in the chat function here? Okay, everybody try. All must write something, huh? Everybody got it? Okay, try write something. Okay, let's see some of your answers, huh? Okay, for Indrajit say as the male increases, number of female decrease. Eh? Indrajit, as male increase, female decrease. Now remember, when you say this relationship, they ask you what is the relationship between the percentage of female hatch and the temperature. They did not ask you about the male lizard. Okay, what's the relationship between the, so you need to identify the variables. So here the percentage of female and the temperature. They did not ask you to compare between male and female. Okay, Farah said that as the temperature increases, the number of male lizard hatch, female lizard hatch decrease. Okay, very good. Okay, I think all of you got the correct answer. Sarah said the higher the temperature, more males would hatch. Okay, Sarah, they did not ask you about the male. They asked you specifically about the female. So you need to be careful on that. Okay, so the first part is straightforward. Okay, it's a straightforward question. Okay, as temperature increases, you can see the female, right? The female is the white color bar. Okay, the percentage of female hatch decrease. Okay, as temperature increase, the percentage of female hatch decreases. Okay, so simple answer. Okay, no need to mention, or you cannot mention about the male because they never ask you about the male, right? And you cannot write opposite. Another common mistake is that many students, they write opposite. What they say is that as the percentage of female hatch, the temperature increase. This one you have problems with cause and effect. So temperature here is a cause, not the effect, right? So temperature is the cause, and the percentage hatch here is the effect. Okay, is the effect. Okay, cause effect. So you cannot say the other way around. You cannot say that the female hatch caused the temperature to change. There's something wrong, right? If you say that. Okay. Okay, what about the second part? Okay, second part, based on Susan's result, give a reason why this type of lizard may disappear from the Earth due to global warming. Okay, Sarah said when there is global warming, the temperature of the Earth will be warmer. So when temperature is warmer, more lizard will hatch. And there will be less female to reproduce, thus this type of lizard may disappear. Chanel says that during global warming, there will be lesser female, but both male and female are needed for reproduction. Okay, very good. Mariam, global warming causes the temperature to increase. Okay, as temperature increases, Tristan, Naurin, no higher and there. Write your answer, Naurin. Where's your answer? Okay, so let's go to the question. You did right. Okay, very good. Okay, so you can see here, right? There's a downward trend for the female as the temperature increases, right? The percentage of female hatch is decreasing, right? So meaning that as the temperature increase, continue to increase due to global warming, one day the percentage of female will become zero. So when there's no female and there's more male, so what will happen, right? In the process of reproduction, what do we need? In the process of reproduction, we need both male and female, right? We need the male reproductive cell as well as the female reproductive cell, right? Both male and female reproductive cell is needed. Okay, so but due to the global warming, this particular species of lizard will one day become extinct, right? Why? Because as the temperature of Earth rises, the temperature, the female hatch will be lesser and lesser. So there will be less and less female being born, right? Or being hatched, right? So there will be one day female will be 0, right? And the male increase, no use, right? When you have only male, right, you cannot reproduce, right? So eventually even the male will decrease in the long term, right? Because there will be no more reproduction, right? So the population will decrease over time and it causes extinction. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's summarize the answer here. So part A, the higher the temperature, which is the cause, the lower is the percentage of female hatch. Okay, so the effect. Now part B, global warming causes the increase or the rise in temperature, which eventually result in no females hatch, right? 0 females hatch. So if no female, the lizard cannot reproduce, right? Because it needs both male and female for reproduction and hence causes its extinction. Okay? All right, class, all of you got it? Okay, very good. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, this is the topic of energy conversion. Okay, let's read together this question. Haziq used the setup shown to find out how the type of bulb affects the temperature of its surrounding. Okay, so what do we call this? Anyone? What do we call this? Ikram? Aim. Very good. Remember, when you see any experiment question, first identify the aim. Now, what about, what do we call this type of bulb? What is the type of bulb? Change variable. Very good. Excellent. Type of bulb is the change variable. Okay? This is the CV, change variable. Right? So basically, what they're trying to find out is that Haziq wants to find out how the type of bulb affects the temperature. And we know that bulb, right, light bulb, right, gives off heat. Okay? And some bulb produce more heat than others. Okay? Some bulb produce more heat than others, right? You know, the yellow color bulb, the downlight you have at some homes, if you stand under some light bulb, you can feel hot, right? You can feel the heat. But fluorescent bulb, you do not feel that hot. Okay, so different type of bulbs give off different amount of temperature. Okay, different amounts of heat. Now let's take a look at the table here. Okay, so this table is the result of the experiment. Now can you tell me what is this? What variable is this? Tristan? Tristan, what do you think? What variable is this? Same variable. Then what is the term? There's a scientific term here. Noha, very good. This is called the fixed variable, right? Now remember, at the start or the beginning of the experiment, the temperature, right, must be the same. Okay, the temperature in the wooden box must be the same. Must be 25 degrees Celsius. Okay, then you change the bulb R, bulb S, bulb T. If not, it will not be a fair test. Remember, you're only testing the type of bulb. The temperature of the air in the box must be the same at the start of the experiment. Now, what about this? What do we call this? Shami? Dependent variable. Yes, very good. This is called the temperature after 10 minutes, called the dependent variable, or the result of the experiment, or some of you say the measured variable. All these three are okay. All these things are okay. All right, now I want you to type the answer. The question here, A, fill in the boxes to show the energy changes in the bulb. So very easy. B, give a reason why Haziq left the box uncovered for 15 minutes before repeating the experiment with the next bulb. Okay, interesting question. And part C, which bulb, R, S, or T, should Haziq use to light up his room so as to reduce the energy used by the air conditioner? Give a reason for your answer. Okay, can you type your answers in the chat function here? Okay, please type. Give you all 2 minutes to do that. Huh? Many of you put chemical potential energy. Is there any chemical potential energy here? No, yes, there's no chemical potential energy, right? Chemical potential energy exists only in batteries or fuel, right? But there's no fuel, no batteries here, right? So how can you say chemical potential energy? Fire? Where got fire? There's no fire here. Okay, so quite a number of you are right. Chemical potential energy, which is wrong. Chemical potential energy, unless you see battery. Battery has chemical potential energy. Chemical potential means stored, right? So here, straight away, it is electrical energy converted to heat and light energy. Okay, so I think some of you got that. Alicia, Sarah, okay. Electrical energy, okay, very good. So electrical energy change to heat and light energy. All of you got that? Ikram? Okay, very good. No potential energy. Honey, there's no potential energy here. It is just electrical energy, right? Converted electrical energy from the light bulb, okay, converted to heat and light energy. Okay, heat and light energy. Okay, now B. Give a reason why Haziq left the box uncovered for 15 minutes before repeating the experiment with the next bulb. This is quite interesting question. Can you write down? Okay, Noha. So you say to ensure that temperature in the box, no, Nazura, should ensure that temperature is the same for the experiment, so it's a fair test. Okay, Chanel, very good answer. To ensure the temperature in the box goes back to the normal starting temperature to make a fair test. Okay, very good. Ikram, not sure. Okay, for those of you who are not sure, now why do you think they have to open the box? I remember when, okay, the test variable is a type of bulb, right? Bulb R, bulb S, bulb T. So you need to test one by one. Okay, let's say first you conduct with bulb R. So bulb R, when the start of the experiment is 25, and then after 10 minutes, you notice that the temperature has risen to 30 degrees Celsius. Okay, 30 degrees Celsius. So you record the temperature after 10 minutes. Okay, and then after that, you move on to the next bulb. Okay, which is bulb S. Now bulb S, you must ensure that the temperature in the temperature of air in the wooden box returns back to 25 degrees Celsius to ensure a fair test, right? So that's why you need to open the box to let the heat escape, right? To let the hot air escape so that the temperature of the air in the wooden box return to 25 degrees Celsius, right? Make sure you must start at the same room temperature, okay? That's why you need at least 15 minutes to allow the temperature of air inside the box to cool back to the original temperature, which is 25 degrees Celsius. Okay, all of you got that? Now remember why? Because the temperature of the air in the box at the start of the experiment is the fixed variable. Okay, you cannot have different temperature at the start of the experiment, otherwise it will not be a fair test. Okay, Ayan, got it? Okay, all of you got that, very good. Now what about part C? Can you write down the answer? Which bulb R, S or T should Haziq use to light up his room so as to reduce the energy used by the air conditioner? Okay, write down and please include your reason as well. Okay, Hannah say R. So Fiery, can you write your reason? Remember, if you don't give any reason or wrong reason, 0 marks. Your first part of the answer does not carry any marks. You must write the correct reason. Okay, Nurul Nazura say bulb R because bulb R gives off the least amount of heat. Okay, Nadira says that temperature increases the least. Okay, now take note. Now, when you're answering this question, this is a comparison question. Many of you make this mistake of not writing your answer in relative to the other bulb, right? Because here you're comparing, so you must use the correct superlative words. Highest, right? Such as highest, coolest, right? Increases the most. Okay, so you must use the correct superlative word. Okay, the proper comparison words, right? Because you're comparing between the three bulbs, the three test variable, which is bulb R, S, and T. Okay. Okay, correct. Many of you write the answer is R. Okay, and why R? Because if you take a look at R, the increase in temperature after 10 minutes is the least, right? So R increased from 25 to 30, which is plus 5, right? Plus 5. S increases from 25 to 33, which is plus 8. T increases from 25 to 36, which is plus 11, right? So meaning that type bulb T or bulb T will gives off the most amount of heat, okay, during the 10 minutes. How do you know? Because the temperature of air in the box is the highest for T. Now, the problem is that if you have an air conditioner at home, you would not want the light bulb to be hot, right? Why? Because when the light bulb is hot, it gives off too much heat, then your air conditioner will have to use more energy, right? So that it can cool down your room. So you waste a lot of electricity. Okay, you waste a lot of energy and your electric bill will be higher. Okay, so that's why the answer is R. Okay, R. Why? Because the temperature of the air in the box increased the least, right? You can see here, this is you're comparing between R, S, and T. This is very important because many students, you just say that the temperature of air in a box is low, okay? Or the temperature is 30 degrees Celsius. Not enough, right? You must compare. Because here they ask you which bulb, R, S, or T. So your reasoning must also be comparing. You must compare why you choose R and not S and T. Okay? All right. Tristan, are you okay? Noah? All of you got that? Okay, so the answer is bulb R. Let's summarize. Bulb R because the temperature of the air in the box increased the least, causing the air conditioner to use the least energy to cool down the room. Okay? Okay, we have a few more slides. Okay, one more question, one last question. We've got 5 more minutes. Okay, this question I think I've discussed in my science class. Okay, this is on the topic of forces. Okay, let me read for you the question. The diagram below, the diagram shows how a platform can move a man on a wheelchair up or down the stairs. Have you seen this machine before? Have you seen this machine before? Where? Not yet see? I've seen this before, quite rare because nowadays there are elevators, lift. I think I've seen this in hospital, one of the hospital. Okay, so there is a platform which uses electricity to raise people on wheelchair up the stairs. Paragon or have? Okay, so the question here is that the platform uses electrical energy to move. Explain why the platform uses more electrical energy when it moves the man up the stairs than when it moves him down the stairs. Okay, I give you 2 minutes to type your answer. Can everybody do that? 2 minutes to type your answer in the chat function below. Your answer must be in full sentence. Fardin, you cannot just say potential energy. Keyword here is explain. You must explain. You cannot just write 1 or 2 words. Tristan says something has to do gravitational potential energy. Okay, just try your very best. We'll compare with the rest. Now, Fal says that the platform needs more force. They say uses more electrical energy, you know. Explain why the platform uses more electrical energy. Okay, Daniel said with the wheelchair. Okay, type. I give you all a few more minutes. Everybody have a chance to type. Okay, let's see some of your answers. Okay, those of you still have not typed, please type something. See, please think, try. This question actually we have done before. Let's see whether you have you still remember. Okay, so Gilda say when it goes upwards, it needs to overcome gravity. Okay, you see, here the question, you must read the question carefully. They say explain why the platform uses more. Okay, why more energy when it goes up than when it comes down the stairs? That means you must be able to compare between going up and going down, you know. They are trying to say here is that going down also need energy, need electrical energy. Going up also you need electrical energy, but why going up need more electrical energy than going down? Because so most of you, when you write the answer, you just mention about going up. Then what about the going down part? Okay, so you must be very clear in your answer. So Fardin say the platform uses to overcome gravitational energy. Wrong, Fardin. The concept is not about gravitational potential energy. Anybody wrote about gravitational potential energy is wrong. Okay, Akira, very good. Goes up, you need to overcome gravity and friction. So these two types of forces, gravitational force and frictional force. Farah said the platform has to overcome more gravitational potential energy. Okay, no, not gravitational potential energy. Farah, wrong concept. Okay, if those of you who write about gravitational potential energy is wrong, this is not about GPE. This is about forces, gravitational force. Now, many students are confused between gravitational force and gravitational potential energy. Potential energy means thought energy, right? When an object is above the ground, right, above ground level, the higher the object is, it has more gravitational potential energy. Okay. However, gravity or gravitational force is different. Is the force exerted by Earth which pulls objects towards Earth. Okay. So the gravitational force is the same. The gravitational force exerted by Earth, okay, is the same whether you're on the ground floor or you're on the second floor or you're on the 10th floor or you're on the top of the mountain. Gravitational force is always the same, or gravity is the same. Okay, gravity is the same. The concept of gravity will always be the same. The difference, how to have different gravitational force is when you go to space, right? When we are in outer space, there will be zero gravity, or we go to a different planet, right? Different planet like moon, then our gravity, the gravitational force will only be 1/6, right? But on Earth, whether you're on the first floor or the ground floor, the gravity is the same. Okay, so here we are not talking about gravitational potential energy. Okay. Okay, Vandit say when Musa gravitational force is acting against the motion. Okay, remember gravitational force is pulling objects towards Earth. Okay, downwards. Why? When we jump, we go down because of gravity, right? Gravity, the direction of gravity is towards Earth, right? So what happened here, right? This platform, you need to use electricity to move this wheelchair up the stairs. Why? Because you need to overcome two types of forces. Number one, you need to overcome gravitational force, right? Which is pulling objects down towards Earth. So you need to overcome gravitational force when you're going up the stairs. Secondly, you need to overcome frictional force. Now, where's the frictional force? This is the frictional force at the railings here, right? Between the platform here and the railings. There are some railings here. You need to overcome the frictional force as well as the gravitational force, right? But going down, right? When going downwards, down the stairs, right? When this one going down the stairs, okay, he doesn't have to overcome the gravitational force, right? Because why? Gravitational force is automatically pulling the man downwards. Okay, so you don't have to use electrical energy to pull the man downwards, right? To go down the stairs. Just like when you're cycling. When you're cycling up the hill, you need to use a lot of energy to cycle up the hill. But when you're going downhill, when you're cycling downhill, you don't even need to cycle, right? You just have to put your feet on the pedal, and automatically you will go down. Your bicycle will travel on its own downhill, right? Why? Because of gravitational force pulling us towards Earth. Okay, so let's summarize. Let's summarize here. Remember, it's nothing to do with gravitational potential energy. Okay, let's summarize what we have discussed. Okay, step number one, you observe what are the key objects, the man on the wheelchair, and electrical platform to move up or down the stairs. Okay, so what is the scientific concept here? Concept of forces. In fact, I've given you the clue, right? I told you that it's on the topic of forces, right? Gravitational force and frictional force. Okay, so what are science concept? So gravity or gravitational force cause object to be pulled towards Earth. Frictional force is the opposite force which exists when two objects slides against one another. Okay, so how you answer this? So once you know the concept, right, and you observe all the objects given to you, then you can answer the question. So when moving up the stairs, the platform requires more electrical energy to overcome frictional force and gravitational force, right? Two types of forces, frictional force and gravitational force. Okay, secondly, however, when going down, it only has to overcome frictional force. Okay, that's why you need more electrical energy. Okay, oh, there are 3 Danish here. Huh? Okay, it's already 9:05. Okay, we have some time here. Okay, you have any question? So far, class, all of